way. He played it like it was his idea to make me captain of the April crew.
What else is he gonna do? Tony cut off his gutsies. Very prudently, Tom. Yeah, Ginny Sack told Gabriella she needed a bigger house.
Ginny Sacramone. What she needs is her own zip code.
That's fucked up.
I like a woman you can grab onto something.
Thank you. The shout out to you.
Sacramone, your fucking hands will disappear.
Two guys can fuck her at the same time and still never meet.
Oh, Johnny!
Fuck who?
What?
25 fucking million. Madonna mia.
The time has come to return the city of Newark and its waterfront to its past glory. By the year 2003, this long-neglected stretch of riverfront will be alive with condominiums, film studios, and public parks.
This fucking busted police. He's worth every cent of his cut.
I'm just so frustrated.
You're frustrated.
I just want to go find that bastard and kill him with these hands, Jen. And I could, and I would, but I can't. They'd put me in jail. That's how messed up things are.
I fucking asked you to watch out for Jackie Jr. I specifically said,
oh, shit.
Don't let the kid get involved in this thing.
Let me tell you something, T. He was an asset. Pissed on the car seats, but he handled himself very good. He's the heir apparent.
I don't want him mixed up in his shit. I promised his old man.
Oh,
They can utilize him.
it's all right
now.
for me.
I didn't say that.
And what else did you say? That the life's good enough for me, but not for little Lord Fuckpants?
He's not like you. Like us. Kids today, they're bored, they're spoiled. Look, I promised his old man.
What? You promised him what?
I was his best friend. Don't bust my balls. I love you. You're a good boy.
Come on in.
Jesus. What's the other guy look like?
I want to know what he about to look like. That's what I want to know, Tony. Let's find out.
Christ, there must have been some accident. What happened?
Oh, someone ran a stop sign on Eisenhower Parkway. It's just one of those things.
I know a woman with one leg. Terrible.
Why don't you help her get that leg back?
Getting you into some behavioral therapy. The title leaves something to be desired.
It's okay. It's just your,
It startled me, that's all.
Maybe you came back to work too soon.
It's better for me to be busy. I'm okay. Really. And I appreciate your concern.
See, that's what's wrong with the world, right there. An innocent person is driving along, minding their own business, and some fucking asshole comes out and smashes into them.
Oh,
You
no.
can't control everything that happens.
But you can get pissed off.
And then what? Lose control?
Who said anything about that? You direct your anger where it belongs.
You have panic attacks. Panic occurs when feelings of anger, revenge, whatever overwhelm you. Behavioral therapy comes in. It can teach you to control those triggers.
And how do you get people to do what you want?
I heard about Ralph Cifaretto, that he got passed over.
You heard about what?
That's probably a smart move. I mean, the more I get to know him, he's kind of a cool guy, but...
It's none of your fucking concern. You told me you were gonna go to college, then I gotta hear from Chris the shit I'm hearing about you.
You didn't talk to Chris. Ah, shit.
That's right.
Why wouldn't I talk to my guy? Like, shut up, dummy.
Hey, Jackie. What are you doing here?
I'm waiting for you.
What, I don't get a hello?
Right?
I need $200?
You don't talk to me for weeks, but my money's still green.
I'm looking forward to total independence.
She gonna spend it on Noah.
African Americans go to Columbia, Dad. Some of them are my friends.
Avocado wrap, no dressing, and a Coke.
Is she about to see him in there?
Number 3, dressing on the side.
Because that's a red hat. That's why it's called Employee of the Month, the episode. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. So she know his name and where he work at. Oh, God.
What one continuation? You give a slag and we go.
What leg?
Repent on yourself.
Motherfucker, do you know who I am? Do you know who my brother is?
Mother, what? What did you say?
Motherfucker! Those records were all I had to remember my mother by. What could it possibly mean to her? A few pennies. Are you people really so callous?
Fuck you, you are callous.
You people really so callous. Some moments I hate her so much, but in some moments she's so ridiculous. Macaroni. So that's symbolic. What's gonna come out? She got to return. So that's Tony. The pasta being put into the machine is like her dealings with him, right? And her being stuck with him, I'm assuming, right? Because she went in there to get what she wanted out of it after she puts the pasta in the macaroni, but she puts her arm all the way in and gets stuck.
I felt such a sense of relief. I felt safe for the first time since it happened.
The vending machine?
My guilt for putting myself
Oh, okay.
in harm's
I was
way.
wrong than a motherfucker.
The dog, though.
The forbidden part of your psyche. Murderous rage.
Boy, I was wrong than a
Yeah, but
motherfucker.
at first, I thought he was after me.
The dog.
What?
A Rottweiler, Elliot.
Big head, massive shoulders.
Yes.
Direct descendant of the dog
Yes.
used by the Roman
Yes.
armies to guard their
Yes, I
camps.
was partially right.
And digging. Who do I dig with and who's dangerous? Who could I sick on that son of a bitch to tear him to shreds? No feeling has ever been so sweet as to see that pig beg and plead and scream for his life because the justice system is fucked up, Elliot. Richard's got his attorney looking into this at $300 an hour. But meanwhile, that employee of the month cocksucker is back on the street. And who's gonna stop him? You? I'm not going to break the social compact.
Okay.
But that's not saying there's not a certain satisfaction in knowing that I
Yeah.
could have that asshole squashed like a bug.
I told you not to mess with those people.
He did.
I was supposed to be married at this point in my life.
Oh, shut
Yeah,
up.
so this is all I fucking need. Thanks, Janice.
Some more shit he got to deal with.
What? What do you mean, what? They slapped my sister around.
Yeah, he got to go to...
Well, I have to get payback.
Right?
You never do anything to simplify my life.
Yeah, that's
I
facts.
stole a woman's prosthetic leg, Tony. When did I get like this?
You really want to know?
When Richie died. To that time, I was functioning at a very high level. I think there's only one trajectory for me.
Really?
God.
See what I mean?
I've hit bottom, Tony, but it's odd. Because I feel born again in the Lord.
What?
And I asked him to forgive Svetlana for what she's done. I give myself up utterly and totally to God. This is the bottom.
Fighting terrorism, that's what we should do.
How about that fucking stampede in Zimbabwe? Fucking soccer game.
Oh, no assigned seating, always a problem.
Been, making my list. Even, bought a little notebook.
Good, that's good.
And I've been thinking about your behavior therapy idea. You know, I could use some help with a few things, and if they can help me there, you know, I should go there.
No.
You sure about that? Because the last couple of times I've been getting the distinct feeling that you're doing me a boot.
No.
What's the matter?
Oh, no.
What'd I do? Come on, huh? Hey.
Oh, wow.
What did I do? What's the matter?
Go sit over there. We'll do this. Go.
It's just my knee.
Oh, wow.
It's okay, go on.
What? I mean, you want to say something?
Will she?
No.
Okay. Wow. So the name of the episode was Employee of the Month, and I really didn't understand where it was going to go. I read the description. It talked about how basically Dr. Melfi was going to start talking about the behavioral therapy, right? To find out why it's called that on the episode, yo. All right, so I'm really enjoying the show. Let me say that real quick. Really enjoying the show. And yeah, there's some episodes it's like kind of wonky. You got the shit with the extras. There's some silly shit, but when it comes down to it, the actual show, what they did here was so crazy. I'm talking about the showrunners, right? First off, you're looking at first off, let's put it this way. The conversation she has with her husband again, right? Now they're back together. For one thing, her son's now out of her life. And there's a hint of, yeah, she's alone, right? Because why else would she bring this guy back around who clearly they're at odds and stuff like that? Okay. But that's not something that's really that important. But the fact that they are back together to have this conversation is where the importance lies. And the conversation arises again about his feeling about Italians. And then you're like, I believe I said jokingly before he's kind of self-hating, but on this one, I'm like, oh, he's self-hating. That comes into play later. But I wondered, well, why is that coming up again in the context of the show? All right. Then you have Melfi. She's talking to her therapist, and she's like, you know what? It's about time to let it, like they land on that. It's about time to let this go. And because he straight up tells her, listen, you gave him the pills, because she said, you got the therapy part, you have the medicine, and then there's also the behaviorist part, right? And it's time for that, right? That's not what she is. So it's about time for her to let him go. She had insinuated it, and then when we see her dressed in the white, she basically just straight up said, well, we starting that, okay? And I'm seeing her dressed like that. I'm like, okay, well, she's getting, like look at her. It seemed to be that she was ready to start this, and she had finally been like, okay, done with this. So all of that's happening, trying to really figure out, well, why is that taking place? Right? Like, because where does it go now? Okay. But at the moment, I'm not really thinking, well, why is that happening? I'm noticing, though, like, look at how she's dressed. She seems refreshed. Like, this seems like a thing of, it's a new beginning for her. I'm not depending on this guy no more, Tony, right? And then what happens, the rape. And when it happens, I'm like, damn, it's fucked up. Can't even look at the screen. But immediately my mind goes, holy shit. She was just about to let that whole situation go. She gets assaulted. We see in this episode, she's back with that man, and we see how he is. It's not just the Italian thing or all that. I didn't realize at that very moment that was even going to come back into play like that until I then thought about it, right? I go, oh, wait. Remember, this guy, he's self-hating. In the middle of what's going on with her, she's talking to the doctors. She's talking to the police. Rossi, that's an Italian name, right? I thought she said he was Puerto Rican. Who gives a fuck? Why? And you saw the look on her face, like, we all had that look on our face, like, oh, this man. Yeah, it's deeper than him just having problems with him. And you realize it once again, when he's like, oh, people think you're a thug. And it's like, for what? No one thinks you're a thug. No one's looking at you thinking you're a thug. It's how he feels. It's something within him. And so when he does that in front of her, you're like, oh, because we also know him. He goes off on these tangents and shit like that. And like, that's not what she needs at this moment. So you got that. So I'm like, I understood. I didn't know how, but I'm like, there's no way that the cops are going to, excuse me, damn. I'm like, there's no way the cops are going to be able to handle this somehow, but I didn't know how. And then what takes place. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. This is a guy who really doesn't like the mob. He feels helpless. He wants to hurt. You saw the son and him both like, I just wish I could. And then he goes, but I'd go to jail. Now, we always hear the story about how the Italian mob worked over here, right? And not just the Italian mob, triads over here, the gangs in the U.S. and the black mob in the U.S., the black gangs in the U.S., it was protection things. Because when you were in certain groups and you were still poor and as a community, y'all hadn't sort of staked your claim in society yet, you were out there alone. There was no one to really protect you. So, who provides the protection? Okay? And so it's interesting that this guy who doesn't like them so much, we're on this show where I'm like, is she going to do this? Now that opens up another thing. That's her client. That cannot happen ever. They not even supposed to be talking about no personal shit like that on her end. And so if she ever were to do that, she'd be talking about some personal shit. If she ever did that, it'd be on some criminal shit. Like, it opens an entire can of worms. So by the showrunners having this happen on the show, at first I'm like, huh. And then it immediately becomes clear, oh, this is something completely different. And it allows them to explore a bunch of shit, not just with her as a character, but with that situation. And then when she has the dream, I was half right, half wrong. When I saw the Rottweiler, though, I'm like, oh, that's Tony. What I like, though, is that they're exploring it in her therapy session, and she has to figure out, oh no, it's a dog descended from, like Roman battle dogs, and big head, big shoulders, and then it lands on her. She's like, and the guy, he gives a look. I like how my guy, you know what's dope about her therapist? Sits like this. The look on his face never changes, but it always says so much. Isn't that dope? Right? Because she'll catch herself and she'll go, like, she's looking and she goes, don't worry. I can't remember the term that she used, but she's like, I would never do that. But just knowing that I could get this motherfucker scraped, like, I could get him done dirty, it meant a lot to her. She's like, motherfucker, like. And so when they have that therapy session at the end, so she's crying. And Tony is like, what the fuck? Brushes over. And I'm like, is she going to tell him right now? So I'm trying to figure out what's going on there. All right. How's that going to go? And she's like, hey, we can't end this, basically. He's like, really? Because, like, the past two, you saying we going to. And she ends up not telling him, right? And it's like, oh, shit. But at the very least, she wants that protection. She feels protected. She don't feel protected by that guy. And what I like is you'll hear me call shows adult. And the reason I say adult is it's not just that it's doing the human experience. There's human experience for children. There's human experience for teenagers. There's human experience for adults. And so, like, it's different things and different responses that will take place. What happens in this episode, everything that, like, the conversation she has with her husband about the phone, like when they're talking and she finds out the exact same thing that he had just heard, everything that, at no point as I'm looking at them like, oh, that's crazy. No, you would expect that. Because she couldn't believe that. And then when she hears it, she still can't believe it. And then when they start, like, lashing out at each other, he's supposed to just eat that. He's not supposed to, like, put any sort of blame on her like a dickhead, like a fucking weirdo. And to have her be in any position where she later has to apologize or some shit like that, or to make it seem like at any point they're on equal footing in the situation. No, she was the one raped. You feel me? So he's being a dickhead. But then we have Tony, where it's like that she feels protected there, even if it's just inside that room and inside those walls. So we're going to see how that goes. Then you got Jackie's son, Richie's nephew. That motherfucker, he's just, would you go someplace? Like, but what I wonder is, are the feds going to be able to use him? Because the one thing they've overheard so far that's worth a damn is, oh, he had something to do with something. Like, straight up. They just straight up is like, yeah, he the one who helped, blah, blah, blah. But he's not a gangster or anything like that. The feds pressure him. Who knows how that goes? Right? Who knows how that goes? So we'll see how that goes. I'm trying to think. Was there anything else? Oh, the New York gangster moving over to Jersey. Interesting. First off, I always just assume that the ones in New York, they make more money because it always, you can tell that they they answer to them over there across the bridge, right? And so when he moves over, that guy moves over. He's like, yo, fuck are you doing here? Why you didn't tell me that? He's right. He's right to be that. And for them to show, why can't I remember the guy's name? The guy with the hair. Damn, I can't remember his name. That got passed over to be the head of Richie's old crew. You see him talking to that guy. Tony is right to be looking at that. Because why is that guy over there? What the fuck? And then also that dude. Now, what I like, though, is the guy with the hair. I cannot remember his name on the show. But like I said, he was in Bad Boys. He played the chief or whatever. The captain or whatever. But in this, he just seemed like a worker. Like you had Chris seem like a worker and stuff. But for this guy to be like, he's one step removed from being a fucking captain. And you see this guy just, like, when they go in and talk to the Middle Eastern dude, it just seemed like such work. It didn't seem like, oh, cool, gangster. And that's the one thing about the show that continues. It's never just this thing of these guys are like, they come in and everything just works out because they're super gangsters. Nah, he go in there, they got to rough him up, and then he has to talk Jackie's son through it. He's like, now to clear the table, and the motherfuckers throw him on the table, and he fucking knocks it down. That was funny. What else? Oh, let's not forget this. Tony's sister, ridiculous. Tony got to deal with Russians now. I just was saying something like, yo, he's going to have to, I hope we get to see them beef with each other or something like that. And apparently we are. I don't really got no more to say about that because I just want to see where they go with that. Because they're different in a whole other kind of way. They don't care about getting knocked. Excuse me. That's just something they notorious for. Like mocking our prisons. Like, y'all think that's prison? Like, so they're willing to take things a step further, especially at that time frame. By that time frame, you see on the show, they got to worry about so much stitching within the entire mob. So motherfuckers is like, okay. But these guys, they don't seem to be worried about any of that. This is how we know how much they don't give a fuck. They know exactly who Janice is related to. Did you see him flinch at all? He was like, mother, what? Bow, clapped her. Like, that didn't matter to them. They willing to go to war over something like that. I don't even think the war registered in their mind. They don't care. So we're going to see how they play this, and I hope they make that as realistic as it can possibly be. Because it could get real bad, so they're probably going to have to come to some sort of truce and piece it up. But you know what I mean? Like, or I just hope they don't make that like, oh, well, Tony and his crew, they're like super bad to the point where they could just knock these guys off easier. It shouldn't work that way. You feel me? But like even this is why I also say that as far as the show goes. Even Tony said, hey, don't fuck with the Russians. Like, Tony knows, right? They've referenced this before. So, hey, dope episode. Next episode,